let us start with one question. Do you invest in the property? Do you invest in the property? Especially some of people will ask whether the property right now is the right timing of investing in the property or not. You can type A if you never invest in a property, and maybe this is the time you want to start to invest one, so you type A. If you are only invested in Malaysia only, then you can type B. And if you actually invested locally and globally, you can type C. For me personally, I actually investing in Malaysia for the first 10 years. Then later, I actually start exploring in overseas due to a lot of reasons. But today we are not talking about the overseas market, but we are talking about the Malaysia market. All right, we have our speaker of today, Mr. Charles Tan. If you are in the property industry for a long time, you definitely know him. If normally like me, I want to search for some property information, I will go to Google it. Then definitely will come across with the blog called copyandproperty.com. And then I know Mr. Charles during that time, actually we always call him Copy and Property Tan, because last time his Facebook is Copy and Property Tan during that old days. So we actually, since that I think 6 to 7 years ago, I can remember, since then, that time I follow his blog until now. And his blog right now is I think one of the largest blogger, which consistently give a lot of very insightful information. And the most importantly is the blog itself is the latest up-to-date one. Means that you may never see anything, any information out there yet. He already start writing about that. Then only you'll see the trend actually start coming in. People talk about the topic, but Charles already actually analyze it and actually telling you all the information. So it's really very fortunate for us to have Charles to talk about this very insightful topic, economy and property. How does the economy cycle affects the property market? Thanks for joining our GIS session. Yeah, how are you?
Okay,
you are in Starbucks. Okay, I will pass over the session to you.
A little bit intro about myself. Today, our topic is economy and property. How does the economic cycle affect the property market? If there are people who tell you that the property market can move up, whether or not the economy move positively or not, the person must be lying, right? Economy drives property demand. So economy drives all the demand for goods, all the demand for services. Economy drives the number of jobs availability. People with more money, they will buy more things, including property. Yeah. A little bit about myself. I'm the founder of copyandproperty.com since 2013, November. So it has already been 9 years. It's based on calendar years. I have no link to developer or real estate agency or banks. So Copy and Property does not also have any recommendation to buy whatever property. We also don't take any commission. That is the motto for the website. I'm actually a real investor. I have properties in 6 cities and towns in Malaysia, none overseas at the moment. I did 52 talks in 2019 in 9 states and Singapore as well. So that was a very, very good number, once per week. Just before COVID-19 came. After COVID-19, then probably about 30 plus talks on a yearly basis. I am the judge for real estate awards, for example, iProperty.com and PropertyGuru.com. My articles and views have appeared in major media magazines, property portals. In fact, any major media that you know of, I think you can find my article there, except one. I won't tell you which one, but except one. Feature on TV, assistant producer for a real estate show as well. Yeah. That's about me. A little bit about copyandproperty.com. So this is leading independent property blog in Malaysia. I don't think there are any independent property blog with 10,000 followers. Yeah, we are invited to major real estate events as media, for example, NAPIC, Radar, MIEA, and many more. My average has always been 1.5 articles per day since the beginning, right? So it's not easy, but I think that is something that is I've been doing consistently. So average is still 1.5 articles, yeah, per day, yeah, every day. Yeah. I write as a property investor. to educate first-time home buyers because I used to be a first-time home buyer as well. Yeah. Kopian Property has always been free since 2019. Just sign up for free articles. There are no property investor club in kopianproperty.com as well. So I don't run any clubs. I don't run any courses. Just go to Facebook, fb.com/kopianproperty, click like. If you like to click later after I share, also can. Otherwise, just go and click like. Thank you very much. So let's start about the economic cycle. Before we talk about economic cycle, let's understand a little bit about economic cycle. Yeah, what is an economic cycle? Economic cycle is the overall state of the economy as it goes through the few stages, right? The first stage that we can talk about is expansion. So typically expansion can also be recovery, but generally this is where the demand for goods and services start to go up. When it reaches the peak, then of course it's the peak. And usually when it reaches the peak, right, sometimes there are too much speculative activities. At this point in time, maybe the economy cannot sustain all this growth, therefore it may have to restart, right? So there will be a contraction. This contraction, people will say this is a recession. So recession means 2 consecutive quarters or more of the economy. Sorry, recession means 1 whole year of negative growth. Technical recession means 2 continuous quarters of negative growth, right? And then usually recession will have a bottom as well. That is called trough. After the trough, then it may start to recover. You look at all the countries, right? The central bank, for example, usually will do their best to make sure the economy move at an orderly pace. That means they don't want too high growth, they don't want negative growth, right? Example, the interest rate for Malaysia is said to be going to be increased in the second half of this year. So why do they increase interest rate? You think about it, right? Actually, if they increase interest rate, it also means the economy is doing well, by the way. Because the economy is doing well, but they want orderly growth, remember? Therefore, interest rate may be increased to stop some speculative activities. Just look at inflation, and you understand that now the inflation is very high. For some advanced countries, it may be 6%, it may be 8%, and interest rate is needed to control the too high inflation. Yeah. So this is the economic cycle. Now let's talk about the stage that our economy is. Just now we look at the 4 stages, right? So if you look at Malaysia's GDP growth on a quarterly basis, you can take a look at this quarter, up, down, down, even though it was stable from quarter 1 2018 until just before COVID-19 hit us, right? So you can see that it was stable, and then COVID-19 arrived, there was a lockdown, so there was a negative growth, and then we continued to have negative growth, and now, of course, the last quarter, it was positive. Do you want to say we are recovering? Actually, not yet. Very sure that we are recovering. However, if you look at all the forecasts, whether it's IMF, whether it's World Bank, whether it's banks, whether it's our own country's finance manager, whether it's the rating agency, generally 2022 is a positive growth, right? From 5% all the way to 6.5%, for example. That's the typical forecast. But just be informed that if you look at the forecast of positive, that means, yeah, we are in a recovery mode. Everything will still depend on whether Omicron gets worse or not. Yeah. If you look at the prediction for economic growth that I told you just now, you can see that some research houses say we will grow by 6%. Our own finance minister says 5.5 or 6.5. IMF, International Monetary Fund, says between 3.1% in this last year and 9.75 this year, right? So you can actually say generally no one is expecting a recession this year. Everyone is expecting Malaysia to show positive growth. And of course, this is very good for the property market. Let me share with you a little bit more numbers as well as things that is happening. Yeah. So when there is growth, right? When there is economic growth, of course there are jobs. When there are jobs, the clearest sign is unemployment rate is low. for some Malaysians who think that, hey, Malaysia last time don't have unemployment, that is very, very untrue. Malaysia has always got unemployment, right? Between 3.5% to 4%, we have always have unemployment rate. Right now it's about 4.3%, right? I want to ask one very good question. Of course, some of you may answer, some of you may not. I have no idea. But if you look at the unemployment and employment, if unemployment is 4.3, what is employment? It's 95%, 96%, right? The demand for goods, supplies, and even property, does it come from 4.3% or 95%? Think about it, right? The percentage of people with a job is by far bigger. These are the people who are driving demand, whether it's goods, whether it's services, whether it's property, right? So it's very important to understand this fact versus just listening to whatever is on your Facebook. Because on your Facebook, people who are gung-ho will always see gung-ho statements. People who are negative will always see negative statements. That's how social media gets you to interact, right? The more interaction, the more money they earn. And that's how they do it. So for those people who think that, hey, I know the best because everyone is saying the same, sorry. That's just because you are like that. So the Facebook show you everything just like you. Thank you very much. Bank results are a reflection of market dynamics. I was just speaking to Roy before this talk. We were talking about banks, right? Last year, that means the 2021 results. You can see from these four news, every bank is earning much higher profit compared to 2020, right? So everyone knows 2020 was a very bad year, a forgettable year, right, for the banks. 2021, the banks bounced back. And by the way, the moratorium was still on until end of last year, right? So I was speaking to Roy. I said, what do you think when the moratorium is off for this year? You think the bank's profit is going to go higher than last year? Actually, Roy and myself, we agree. I think the possibility of banks earning more money this year is definitely better than last year, right? So think about it, right? Bank results are a reflection of market dynamics, by the way, right? If the whole market is not doing well, no one will be borrowing. The bank have no one to lend to. Businesses don't want to borrow. People don't want to borrow. Everyone have no confidence about buying property, for example, right? Bank results are the direct reflection. Yeah. Now let's look at the demand versus supply. Everyone has been saying that, the property transactions are bad. Technically, not really. You look at the quarter by quarter transactions. On a quarterly basis, we should have about 80,000 transactions on average so far, right? The 80,000 transactions means there are at least 80,000 residential properties being transacted. Assuming most of the properties are bought by one person, that means there's 80,000 people who bought property. And I think everyone is savvy to the fact that most people don't buy property with cash, right? I'm not sure about Roy, but definitely most people don't buy property with cash. So there are 80,000 people who got loans from the bank. Now you suddenly realize, oh, no wonder banks are earning money. Yeah, this is one of the reasons, right? Demand definitely is continuing, whether you have Omicron or Delta, right? Why do people buy property actually? Of course, if you are talking about investors, probably they can wait, right? But if you're talking about, let's say a family with a new baby and they are staying in a very small house, if they need to upgrade, they need to upgrade, right? If they cannot stay with their in-laws, they want to move out, they have to move out, right? You cannot say, don't buy property because everyone is not buying, therefore continue staying with your in-laws. I think that will be even worse, right? So if you need to move, you will need to move, right? People who move from smaller towns to bigger cities, for example, they will need a place to stay as well. So all this would continue to drive demand. Or even if you want to upgrade your home because you now earn more money, you will upgrade your home. It's as simple fact as that. Yeah. Now we look at just now we were looking at the numbers, right? How about we look at home prices? So if you look at home prices, zero, anything below zero, everything below zero means the home prices went down, right? How many years did you see home prices go down? One, right? Out of all these charts, everything is above zero, right? Then you think, hey, Charles, you must be joking. How can the house prices be going up? I was also speaking to Roy before the talk. I asked Roy a very, very simple question. Roy, if you have a property now and you can hold, someone comes to you and say, hey, Roy, sell to me your property for 20% less. Because you know market is no good, people are no good, everyone is no good, please sell to me. Roy would tell the potential buyer to go fly kite. It's as simple as that. Because people will only sell lower when they have financial distress, right? And then we talk about the demand and supply just now, Roy and myself, we talk about, let's say, Mont Kiara, right? How many distressed buyers do you think are there in Mont Kiara? Let's say there are, right? Then you ask about how many people want to buy into Mont Kiara. And then you realize, oh, no wonder property prices are still positive, because the ones who want to buy in is by far more than the distressed seller, right? And this tells you that the house prices continue to reflect the economy, because when people have job, remember the 95% of people have job, right? They are not going to sell you their property cheaper than the price they bought, or even cheaper than the market price, right? Not many people do that unless they are financially distressed. And if you look at all these different phases in property prices, right? Whether it's recession phase, whether it's recovery phase, whether it's mid-cycle dip, whether it's explosive phase, whether it's recession phase again, everything is above zero. Simple fact to tell you that demand is definitely remains strong. Yeah. Overhang property, right? Everyone says, oh, no, overhang is so high, overhang is so high. I just want to remind everyone that overhang has never been zero. Yeah, everyone, just look a little bit back, right? So now we have probably about 30,000, 30 over 1,000, right? Look back a little bit. Can you see from 2006 to 2010, was property overhang zero? No, property overhang was over 20,000, right? It's just that the continuous few years, it has actually gone down to probably the lowest point is 10,000. But the number continue to go up, and then people think that the number is very high. If you compare 25,000, for example, versus 29,000, it's only 5,000 up, and it's whole Malaysia, everyone. Right? Please look deeper into the actual state where there are overhang. And then you sort of realize, oh, okay, I think I better understand better rather than look at the big number, right? Places like Kuala Lumpur or Selangor, for example, maybe the overhang is 4,000, 5,000. Selangor transaction, 4,000. Maybe 1 week will finish the 4,000. If the overhang property is attractive in the first place. If it's not attractive in the first place, why do you want to worry? Look at the houses that you want to buy. Overhang has no relevance to your decision, actually, right? And by the way, the overhang usually is the developers continue to hold them, right? So that is an issue that the buyers need to be aware and just buy according to where they intend to buy or why they intend to buy. Yeah. Now here I have a very important thing to share. If you look at economic growth, right, generally it will be driven by the younger people, right? Of course, now maybe the millennials, right? I think I look at Roy, I think he's a millennial as well. So economic growth will always be driven by millennials. I give you some nice photos and nice numbers. Yeah. First, we look at the shopping complex, right? Actually, shopping complex, they have been saying that, shopping mall, too many, stop building, right? More malls. My question is very simple. More malls mean all will die together, or more malls means the unfit ones will be the ones saying bye-bye. Think about it. The malls that you love to go to are the malls that everyone loves to go to. The malls that you don't want to go to are the same ones that everyone don't want to go to, right? So the ones that everyone doesn't go to, those malls will die. Simple fact. It has got nothing to do with bigger malls or popular malls, right? So the more malls come, the better for the market, because the not so good malls, the unfit malls, the malls where the parking drip water one, better die, right? Yeah, this is how demand and supply works in the world we live in today, right? And then we look at this important fact, right? They say the new norm, right? Everyone loves to say new norm. Everyone works from home. Just be reminded, yeah. Google asks the staff to go back to office. Apple asks the staff to go back to office. Simple fact, right? Simple fact. If these two companies, technology companies, ask their staff to go back, very soon everyone is going back, right? And by the way, there are some countries where there are no restriction whatsoever for COVID-19 already, yeah. And this will just tell you that the demand will continue to go up, and this also tells you that these companies, the business continue to move on, right? That's the reason why they have the power to force the workers to go back to office. Malaysia is having negotiation with 12 countries for VTL. That means tourists can come and visit Malaysia without much restriction. In fact, just I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the tourists does not even need to do the test. You know, they have the test on the second day, on the 5th day, or 3rd day, or 5th day, or whatever. No need to do the test anymore, right? So when tourists are back, right, actually, where do they stay, everyone? When tourists are back, where do they stay? They have to find a place to stay, right? I think they will stay at some of Roy's properties, for example. For sure, they need a place to stay, right? I have not seen so many tourists staying on the street or under the bridge. I don't see that, right? And how many tourists are there? Wow, amazing. 25 million tourists per year just before COVID-19, right? This has always been the case. 25 million tourists means it is only a little bit behind our total population, yeah, on a yearly basis. Quite amazing, right? Yeah. We also have purpose-built office, right? So if you see the thinking about norm, right? They always say that office sure will close down. Office no more. Everyone work from home. I think we need a rethink, right? But first of all, just now I shared Apple and Google, right? But actually, if you look at Malaysian own numbers, right? Look at H1 2018, the total space is 21.6 million square meter. Meter square, and then in H1 2021 it rose from 21,620 to 23,835. Rose so much, you know, right? Then you look at occupancy rate, from 82.8% it went down to 78.5. Think really carefully and mathematically. Did the office demand drop, or did the office demand stay the same, just that it's growing slower than the growth of new space, right? That is very important because in 2020, it was an extremely bad year. Ask any Malaysian, they will tell you, right? 2021, almost the same. We were still having lockdowns, people were still afraid, but the demand didn't go down. Take a look, right? Those people, those multinationals that occupy the office space, they surely didn't let go. They surely did, because if they did, yeah, this number would have gone down even lower, right? And do not need to run too far away. Just go to the office, ask them for the office rental. If indeed office demand is dropping, then the office rental for all these nice towers, I don't talk about old towers, I talk about nice towers. The price per square feet, the rental per square feet is still very high, right? Yeah. Occupancy rate shows vibrancy of business. By the way, most offices definitely, in terms of number, cannot be MNCs. It's definitely SMEs, right? And you can see occupancy continues to be high. By the way, if the office is a very old building, unfortunately, I think the market will force it to close down in the very near future. Yeah. Then we look at the millennials, right? Millennials, if you look at millennials, are they mostly moving to bigger cities, or you think they are moving back to their hometowns? Actually, they are moving back to the cities, right? And in fact, university students are starting to move back. They didn't manage to come to the city previously. Many of the new fresh graduates were staying in the hometowns previously because the company still allow them to work from home, for example. Many are going to come back, right? And millennials actually they want better work-life balance, which means that the demand for homes within those places where there are public transport is going to be higher. Not many millennials would like to drive 1.5 hours to reach office and then after work drive another 1.5 hours to go back. Actually, not many millennials. Probably the older people can withstand that, but millennials, they like to work, wake up at 8, arrive at office at 8:30, right? Simple life, right? They like work-life balance, yeah. Then we look at the population, for example, right? By the way, population will drive demand for goods and services. GDP growth will also be growing if we have population growth. Is Malaysia having population growth? Very, very slow or small, but still 400,000 per year. So still big number, yeah, everyone. 400,000 means 25 years later, 4 to a home. Every year, we are looking at 100,000 new homes required just from this current growth. Yeah, think about it, right? So on a yearly basis, probably our total transaction is about 300,000, but just this new demand is already 100,000 every year, and I assume 4 to a house, which is not possible. In the near future, following advanced countries, the total people in a house is probably 2, 2.5 or 3, right? Not likely to be 4. Yeah. Now look at this beautiful demographics chart. Why I say beautiful is because there's this nice, beautiful demographics chart. But the truth is, if this is the chart that we are talking about, it's a very beautiful chart for investment, right? Because the bottom part, which shows the younger population, is huge. So if you look at those older countries, aging, right, advanced aging countries, their top portion is very big. In Malaysia, for example, people always say that if I throw a stone, I can hit someone with a degree. Actually, if you go to Japan, for example, you throw a stone, you hit an old person, 64-year-old, right? So when you go to Japan, please don't throw any stone, right? Very important to know. Yes, I love Japan. I've been to 7, 8 cities in Japan. I hope to go to Japan again as well. Yeah. And then we look at the office, right? Just look at these two different offices here. Which one would you prefer to work in? Right? If I look at Roy, definitely not the one where so many cubicles, so many people. Roy is definitely the one where the sofa can allow him to sit, look at the notebook, that there are lots of lights coming in. Definitely that one. Same as me, even though I'm not that young, but even I don't want the cubicle type, right? Which tells you that the demand will keep changing, and officers which cannot keep up will have to die, and officers which can provide that will survive, right? And that's why the new office would have to be built, because a lot of all these old officers, unfortunately, the younger people don't want. That's the problem, right? And that's a issue, not just in Malaysia. Look at all the countries in the world, advanced countries, you understand already. Old officers, the younger generation don't want. And because they don't want, these old officers would have to slowly fade away and be replaced by newer officers. Yeah, this is demand and supply at its best. Working from home means office dying, or buying everything online means malls dying. This was not too long ago. Just look at this. Are there so many people working from home? I think they are all out having a nice lunch with a nice drink. And then if you are talking about buying everything online, by the way, this is a big brand, and everyone is queuing up to buy, right? Everything is still based on experience, right? If you buy online, no one can see you buying. If you buy in the very nice shop, everyone can see you buying, right? If you buy online, the things sent to your house, no one can see you carrying that big brand. But if you buy in the mall, every one of your friends can see carrying that nice luxury bag. When you have a drink at the cafe, you put the bag, all the waitresses will say, wow, this one is the rich guy. It's totally different, yeah. It's experience, everyone. And that's the reason why you look at these luxury goods and also the expensive goods, many people continue to buy, right? This is status. The world we live in is definitely status world, yeah. Then we look at a lot of people say that now, Charles, now everyone wants to rent. The younger people they prefer to rent. They don't want to buy because they cannot afford. Whatever they say can be agreed upon, right? So for example, for Roy, if they say all millennials will rent, fine. What's the problem? Rent, let them rent, right? But they need a place to rent, everyone. Right? We say they love to rent. Remember, if they love to rent, they need a place to rent. Do you have the place for them to rent? That is the reason why property demand will always be strong, because people need a place to rent. There are people who invest so that they can rent to these people. Good situation, right? Demand and supply at its best. And let's come to the final slide. The conclusion is economic growth will definitely be the driver of property demand, right? So if Malaysia have recession again, definitely the demand will be much slower. You can see the charts just now. The demand went down to probably 50,000, 60,000 transactions per quarter. And when the demand is good, it can go up to 80,000, 70,000, 90,000 per quarter. So economic growth will always be the driver of property demand. Good growth, 80, 90,000, maybe 100,000. Not so good growth, 50,000, 60,000 per quarter, right? It's still ongoing, still moving, because Malaysia continue to have urbanization, people moving into the bigger cities. Yeah. Size for economic growth, like I mentioned, is not what your friends type in FB, right? For those people who think I want to buy property, and you keep on reading I want to buy property, please be reminded you may be too influenced that the property market is too awesome. Don't do that. Read actual news, read daily, so that you understand, there's demand, but there's also places that there's no demand. Understand that. Because if you think, I love property, Facebook will let you read all those people who say they love property. If you say I don't love property, Facebook also give you all the people who don't love property, right? You don't get the right idea at all. Yeah? Demand for property slows, but remember, Malaysia, the fortunate thing is that we are a very young country. Yeah, older folks not that many, right? We are still a young country. COVID-19, unfortunately, just now even Roy says maybe even up till end of this year there will be all these COVID-19 related issues. I seriously believe Roy as well. I think COVID-19 will be around for quite some time. The important point is that we will have to live with it, right? It is not possible to have the strategy of zero COVID, then only reopen. There's no such strategy, right? If there's such strategy, the economy would have died long time ago, right? The strategy right now is definitely live with it. Just look at Singapore, for example. They are opening to the world. Thailand is opening to the world, right? Malaysia, very soon. The reopening is very soon. Renting, like I shared in the final few slides, renting is definitely cheaper, right? Definitely cheaper. But remember, renting is forever, right? So you know the advertisement, diamonds are forever. Yeah, sure. Renting also forever, right? As a landlord, I am very sure Roy, the tenant, after renting from him for 30 years, Roy is not going to tell the tenant, oh, you rent from me for the last 30 years. Okay lah, for the remaining 20 years, you stay for free lah. Roy is not going to do that. I am not going to do that, right? So rent, sure. Just have enough so that you can rent forever. Then fine, yeah? Yes, I continue to love property and investment diversification. In fact, from March 2020 until now, I have bought a couple of properties as well. So I continue to love property, but do not only invest into property, right? Always have investment diversification. Can be stock market, can be unit trust, for example, right? Some in FD, for example, some in the cryptocurrency, for example. Up to you, but there should be investment diversification. If everything to one basket, very, very risky. Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope that you can give fb.com/kopianproperty a like. Otherwise, you can go kopianproperty.com. Just drop your email. You'll get an article a day. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Roy.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Thanks for your very insightful sharing. And please remember to like this Facebook page and also remember the URL. All right, so we come into the Q&A session right now. So actually, I have a few questions on hand. Saying about the Malaysia household income. This one I also heard before, because some people out there actually talking about the Malaysia household income actually cannot catch up with the current average house price. So house price will hike. However, the future transaction will be low. Means that they still believe that the house price will grow. Just that they don't believe that it's easy for them to sell and make profit from that. So what's your view on this matter, Mr. Charles?
Yeah, so I think there are a few questions in that. First of all, can people still afford to buy home, right? Based on the income. If you look at how the property market works, right? It works based on the demand and supply, right? Assuming everyone in the whole market can only buy 400,000, right? Assuming, right? If everyone can only buy 400,000, do you think developers will build 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, 800,000? No, right? Developer will build 400,000. How do they build 400,000? Smaller, further, no idea, right? There will be some ways that they will sell to you a 400,000 property, right? This is very important. So there are not going to be the time when no one can afford a property, because the market will just, the demand and supply will just force the supply to follow the demand. Every market, right? And by the way, Malaysia is not an advanced property market. Many advanced property market already show that demand and supply does work. If the people cannot afford, then they have to build smaller and smaller and smaller. Just look at Hong Kong, for example, right? It's like that, right? The houses got smaller. Or look at Australia, for example, the houses got further, right? People will still have to buy and developers will still have to build. So the first question of will people not able to afford to buy cannot happen unless we are talking about everyone cannot buy, so developers also cannot build, so developers also close shop, all the developers die. It won't come to that way. So that is first thing. Second thing is, if you look at the property price, right? Property price will not be like last time anymore, right? Example, right? The property price for the last, let's say, 20 over years, on average is about 6% growth, right? Around there. Next 20 years is not likely to be the same number already. The reason is very simple. Malaysia's economy used to be growing very fast. 7%, 8%, 9% at that time was normal. Today, if we hit 6%, we'll be like, wow, 6%, right? So last time the economic growth can be 7, 8, 9. So of course the property price can be 5, 6%, right? Fine. But if the economic growth is going to be 5%, 6%, your property price is 7, 8%, you will be having a property bubble bursting very, very soon, right? However, if you look at how the property price has been growing even in advanced property markets, it will continue to go up simply because there's one thing called inflation, right? First thing is inflation. Second is emotion. Everyone, emotion, right? I give you an example, right? Let's say a property in an area you love a lot, right? Let's say, Roy, you love Mont Kiara, right? You want to buy into Mont Kiara. If the property goes up by 50,000, do you think you will still buy?
There is the demand, there will be.
Yeah, there will be a demand. And actually, if it's 50,000, right? If it's extra 50,000, actual monthly repayment, monthly loan, what's the number? If it's extra 50,000, what is the number extra per month? Right.
200,000 is 1,000. So 50,000 is this 300?
Yeah, 200 plus 300 ringgit, right? Can you afford the 250 ringgit or 300 ringgit?
Not really have an impact to us.
Yeah, correct. So if someone can afford a 500,000 property, you already know this person may be earning 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, right? Can they have the extra 300? Yes, they can, unfortunately, right? So that is the reason why property, because of the emotional, 50,000, I never mind lah. It's just 250,000 because I just love the area, right? Emotional. I love the area, so I pay extra 250,000, extra 250 per month. Simple, right? And that's how property price keep going up, right? So I hope I answered this via the two answers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think just now when you talk about the developer actually will suit to the whatever demand are actually right in the market. I think this is right now also happening. The unit becomes smaller and smaller, and some actually really focusing on the quite a far area, but it turns out to become successful. Like Setia Alam last time, people say, oh, so far away. I remember last webinar you talked about the Sungai Ara case. That actually struck me because I'm the one who also laugh at people say why people buy at Sungai Ara, but now I regret. So I think there's something already happened. It's nothing new, but in the future we'll see that it will keep on happening. Right, another question here is, do you think that the multiple tenants, like the sublet, the multiple tenants will become more popular in the coming years? Because now property, of course, some of our unit become smaller and smaller, but some actually big unit, they would like to increase their yield, so they actually sublet to more people, separate, do a partition, separate into another single unit, single room.
So this one, we don't run too far away. It is still back to demand and supply. Actually, we need to understand the urbanization is increasing, first of all, and then the number of people coming to work, right? Not just Malaysians, right? From overseas, for example, who come here to work, they cannot pay 1,600 or 1,800 to rent the whole house. Yeah, unfortunately. And even if they can, they won't do it because what they want is to have the salary as much as possible. They want to save it, right? So this sublet gives them that option to have a small place with a bed, with a small table, for example, for the money that they can afford. And then this is definitely the demand and supply issue, right? If there is demand, people will supply. If all these people all prefer to rent the whole house, you can do whatever you want, carve whatever, whatever, people still won't take it up. It's as simple as that. And I still remember, right, long time ago when I was a student, I stayed in a student house, right? That student house has about 20 over students. Yeah, it's just a double-story house, but 20 over students. I was staying in a room together with two other friends. Now I think back, wow, the toilet is so small, right? And I think back, one of the students, the table right behind is the toilet, right? Yeah, and there's a double-decker bed beside, and then there's a single bed, right? 3 persons in a room. It is still happening today, right? It's just demand and supply issue, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That also remind me of lots of good old memory, but I don't want to take all this good time because me myself actually do a lot of sublet. When I first graduate, I rent from other people. I rent to another group of people, so I actually have a zero capital just to earn that kind of money. But that's an old days story. We have another question here. What is the impact from the Ukraine war? I think it's too far away from us, but maybe you have some different view.
Yeah, so
it will affect us.
Yeah, Ukraine war. The thinking behind, I don't think it will be a very long-lasting war, right? I don't think Russia will keep this very long-lasting. However, how it's impacting is because of the expectations, right? So the expectation is that the fuel, the oil, will be disrupted. All supply will be disrupted. So the thinking behind is very simple. All is disrupted, therefore all price goes up. Look at the oil price today. You notice that them going up. Think back, the demand immediately go up. Actually, it's not the demand, right? And has the supply fully been used up? It's also not the supply being fully used up. It's more expectations that there will be shortage in the future, therefore the prices go up now, right? All these will continue to happen, and I think that if you are taking a long-term approach to your investment, it should not be affecting you, right? Example, you buy a stock, right? A bank stock, for example. Let's say the Ukraine and Russia and Ukraine war affected the stock market. The stock price went down. It is still a sentiment driven, right? Fundamentally, it has not changed unless we are saying that Ukraine and Russia is Malaysia's largest trading partner. Yeah, then probably it will affect us tremendously, everyone, right? But no, ASEAN is our largest trading partner as a whole, and then China is also one of the largest trading partner. Generally, the trading partner remains calm, and in fact, America is one big trading partner. Everything is still normal over there, right? So if you talk about direct affecting, I don't see any direct affecting. But if you say the sentiment driving a lot of negative changes, yes, currently definitely, right? Everyone feels that, hey, this may be long lasting. This may also be affecting somewhere here in Asia, right? Those kind of thinking, quite common, yeah.
All right. Okay, I have another very interesting question, but this one is related to the technology. It says that in some countries, actually, is already happening. Will the tokenizing a property to can solve a high price issue?
First of all, the tokenizing enables us to invest into property easier, right? Does this solve the property price issue? Property price issue is not a issue that can be solved by anything, because property price will always depend on demand and supply, right? If the demand remains strong and the supply is slightly weaker, the price goes up. If the demand goes down and the supply a lot, the price comes down, right? It's not because of technology. However, if the question is, will it make more people able to afford property investment? Yeah, sure, right? Instead of one person trying to buy the whole house, now you may have 200 people buying the whole house together, right? So instead of you having to save so much money just to invest in the property, now maybe 2,000 you can invest into a property, right? And in fact, you may even be able to buy a property that you can never afford. Let's say a very nice building in the city center. By yourself, impossible. But maybe if you team up with 500 other people, you may be able to buy a small part, right? Yeah, tokenization enables us to do that. Technology enables a lot of things to happen actually, right? But property price, it will not be directly because of all this technology. Yeah.
Okay. And we have these two. I try to combine to one. The two question actually is talking about right now the market, which is still under the pandemic, and the moratorium. Just now you mentioned coming to the end. So there's a two question, but is asking the same thing. So do you think that the undercon project or sub-sale project, and another question actually is asking auction project. So these three I combine together. So which one do you think will perform better? Will be a better investment?
The better investment is the one that gives you the highest return. It is not whether it is new property or secondary auction. I really tell you this, assuming you want to rent out and you want to rent out fast. You cannot buy under construction, right? You can't rent out, yeah. And even after you get the keys, it will be at least 3-4 months or 5 or 6 months before you can rent out, right? That is the truth. If you talk about auction property, then you need to be aware that there are risks. If you cannot get a loan, you need to pay cash for that particular property, right? So if you say, oh, I am not so rich, I cannot afford to take the risk, I want to rent out, you just have secondary property, right? But if you say, I want a very nice place, I don't mind buying a little bit further away, I just like a nice place, then the choices suddenly become so many, right? It can be in the auction market, it can be In the secondary market, it can be the undercall because you may not be rushing. So the question of which is the best really depends on you. Unfortunately, it is not a question that anyone has an answer. And in fact, if you ask an auctioneer, for example, the auctioneer will tell you, oh, auction property is the best. For sure, they will tell you, right? He can't be telling you that, oh, buy from property developer is the best, buy from secondary is the best, because he doesn't have the business. Right? He will tell you, oh, this of course is auction is the best, so many things, right? You go to a property developer, salesperson, of course the property developer will tell you, secondary no good, the paint also start peeling already, you buy new, you feel good, very good, yeah. And if you are in the secondary market, right, you know there are advantages. Example, you buy a home which is renovated. The renovation will not be the full cost into the price, unfortunately, right? So if the renovation used to be 200,000, at most they can maybe charge an extra 50,000-60,000, right? So you technically get a renovated unit that you don't need to spend money on, right? So you can see there are no such thing as, oh, this is better, that is better, right? And in fact, if you look at the landed and high rise, everyone says, wow, landed is so good, high rise no good. By the way, the only landed which beats high rise over a 10-year period is the double story terrace, right? That's all. If it's a triple story, lost to high rise. If it's a semi-D, lost to high rise. If it's a bungalow, lost to high rise. Simple fact, right? And people say, wow, high rise so many. Yeah, sure. Only double story terrace beat high rise. That's all, right? So don't listen to which one is better. Identify the one that meets your expectation. Example, someone always love to ask me, is this a good time to buy? Actually, is this a good time to buy? Cannot be answered with yes or no, right? Is this a good time to buy? The thing that I would ask you is, why do you want to buy? For your own house? For investment? Let's say they say for my own house. Then have you found a property, the right property? If yes, go and buy. If you not found, don't buy. If it's for investment, then I will ask you the next one, which is, so are you buying to rent out short-term stay, long-term stay, student, or sublet? What are you trying to do, right? So again, the answer would then reveal the next correct property to buy, right? Very hard. And if anyone can answer you, let's say you ask them, hey, this one can buy or not? If they can tell you, yeah, this one is very good to buy. Actually, what is the person doing? The person is actually having something to sell you in that area. Simple as that, right? So please understand what you really want, identify them, and then go ahead and make the plunge, right? Take the investment. There are no such thing as the best area or the best property. Yeah, unfortunately, there are none. Yeah,
that's really what we really treasure about Charles, because he don't have his own identity to promote you anything or sell you anything, sell you any service. Then he can actually talk, and without we call it without touch anyone, touch the principal developer, or what if let's say he says this project is not good, he's got nothing to lose when he talk about the facts, right? So we really appreciate Charles for giving us a very insightful information.